So good morning to all of you. Today's first session is on National Education Policy 2020. This is a famous quote from Nelson Mandela, the father of modern South Africa. Destroying any nation does not require the use of atomic bombs or the use of long-range missiles. It only requires lowering the quality of education and allowing cheating in the examinations by students. It's a very true statement. This was quite well known to the British Empire. In the 1850s, Lord Macaulay, that time the Viceroy of India, made a famous speech in the British Parliament. He stated there that India will be fully our control because the Indian education system has been totally destroyed. And he says that we have introduced a new system of education in India by which they will be transformed into clerks and such jobs, and they will totally forget their traditional superiority in education. Just remember that India had the biggest libraries in the world. The Takshila library, which was burnt, took even months to burn totally. It was burnt by the invaders, by the Afghan and related Persian areas. Many invaders have come to India, starting from Timur. And when that library was burnt, some of the most precious books were saved by the Pandits there, the professors there. But all other books, over a month, the library was burned. So, nowhere in the world so far such a big library was existing other than in India. So the Indian education system has been totally destroyed. Where the world was in agnostic thoughts and where dark age was prevailing over Europe, we Indians were highly knowledgeable. But that is a past era. And over the last 1.5 centuries, we were trained to be inferiors in the realm of education. This was understood long back by Indians. When India got freedom, there was the first national education policy which was formulated in the 1950s, over 3 years, when Nehru was the Prime Minister of India. In 1986, based on the Kothari Commission report, a very comprehensive national education policy came into existence. That time, Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister of India. In 1992, when Rajiv Gandhi was the Prime Minister of India, it was modified, not totally revamped, it was modified. And in 2009, the Right to Education Act was enacted in the Parliament, which made education compulsory up to the age of 14. And the latest in this series of activities is the National Education Policy, which came on 29th July 2020. That we call now as the NEP 2020 or NEP 20. This is the topic which we are going to discuss in detail. What are things the NEP is envisaging wherever we are going to have challenges or changes in the NEP? These are our areas of concern, and also remember that the education system in the country is going through a drastic change. Very soon, teachers' numbers will be reducing all over the country. Number of educational institutions will be reduced, means will be conglomerated. Instead of small institutions having 100, 200, 300 students, they'll be all combined. So drastic changes are going to happen, and a lot of round of discussions were there. Though it was proposed to complete the NEP implementation by 2024, I feel it may be a bit more delayed, maybe total implementation by 2025, but it is going on. Many of the things have started, we are feeling it. Every day there is some letter from the ICT or UGC or NIRF. Like that, letters are coming because every day they are going through changes. Those heading the institutions are getting a lot of communication from the central government and state government. So let us see in detail what way this is going to affect us. NEP 2020 is more based on quality education. Quality education at two levels, at school level and college level. School level is up to 12th and college level is thereafter. First, let me discuss about what are the specialties or what are the highlights of NEP 2020. First thing is the universalization of education from preschool to secondary level with 100% gross enrollment ratio. Gross enrollment ratio means if there are 100 children at a place, how many are enrolled in school? So far in India, it is much less, only 80 plus, 84 I think, somewhere I mentioned. Whereas in Kerala, it is near to 100, almost 96 plus. That means only 1 or 2 children will be left out in the education. So GER is the indication of a country's development. For example, in a country like Singapore, the GER is 100% because the parents are punishable if the children are not sent to school. In Scandinavian countries, for long years, it is 100. Why? Because in a Scandinavian country, if a child is not sent to school, the parent will be jailed. But in India, there is no such rule even now. A parent will not be punished. It's somehow it is a liberalized system that has caused this. And in by 2030, we want the college GER by 50%. College GER is not compulsory anywhere in the world. The gross enrollment ratio, for example, 100 people are eligible to get into college. How many are getting into college? That is the GER. If out of 100 people who are eligible to get into a college, if 40 people are joining, then GER is 40. In the college level, all over India, it is less than 20%, whereas in Kerala, it is almost double of that. So the target of NEP 2020 is to bring a GER of 100 in schools and 50 in colleges. That is our target. Then NEP 2020 wants to bring 2 crore of school children back into the mainstream. This is again a funny thing to think of. We are the most populous country. We are the most populous country in the sense, now we are number 1 in the world with 143 crores of population in India. And remember, India is now having the highest number of young people in the world. That is why the economists predict that within 10 years, India will become the most prosperous country in terms of GDP. What is the reason? This 10 years may sometimes extend up to 20 years. The reason is that the buying power will be mostly associated with young people. Old people may have money, but they won't buy. Very young children, they have no money, so they cannot buy. The buying power is, we call it as the economic power. The buying power is with the younger generation who have income, and Indians are having it. So we are going to be a booming economy in the next 10 to 20 years. The world is going to change with India as the focus. It's not just a prediction, it is a reality, because we are the buyers. Only where consumers are there, things will sell. So even today, What is literacy ratio? The literacy ratio in Kerala we declare as 100%. But there is a farce in it. In Kerala we declare literacy ratio as 100%. I'll tell you one example. When the total literacy movement of the government of India was running in Kerala, 89-90 period, I was in charge of the literacy mission. I was on deputation as the district coordinator of the literacy mission. We raised to 90.26% of literacy. We declared Palakkad as 100% literacy. Why? As per the literacy mission norms of the government of India, 90 plus is taken as 100. So on that day, the ministers came and declared that Palakkad is 100%. I was coordinating that event. I knew very well that literacy is only 90 plus. So this 100% is an allowance given. Even now, Kerala literacy is not 100%. What about the national literacy? National literacy is around 77-78%. States like Kerala, then union territories like Chandigarh, Delhi, they are the topping positions, nearly 100% literacy. But national average is only around 77%. Means out of the 143 crores of people in the country, 37 crores people are illiterate. Did you get the point what I am saying? This 37 crore is many fold of the British population, more than the European population. This is a fun in it. We are just saying that only 23% of the Indians are illiterate, but it is more than the European population. So it's a great concern for us. Though we say that India is highly literate, the illiterate in the countries, that is why crores of children are still out of school. Kerala we may not be knowing it because Kerala most of the children go to school. Even the other state workers who are here, the social organizations and NGOs in Kerala will ensure that their children are also going to school and Anganwadi. But that is not the case with India. India, crores of children. If you go to north and northeastern parts of the country, you will know that very many children at the young age of 5, 6 or 7 are denied the basic right of school education. It's a basic right. As per the right to education, it's a basic right. So this is one requirement to bring the sidelined people, the marginalized people again to the education system. And then right now we have got a 10+2 structure in India. That's a legal structure. The nursery, preschool, they are not legal right now. Legal means even if you don't send your child to nursery, you can admit that child in first standard. No legal objection to that. Nursery, preschool, early learning center, these are all now some attractions only, not legal. Whereas the government stipulated stream is 10+2. 10 in the schooling plus 2 in the higher secondary. 10+2. So that system is going to change. That system is going to change in the sense the new system is going to be 5+3+3+4. That is, instead of 12 years, it is going to be 15 years compulsory schooling. That means the child has to be admitted at the age of 3 to the preschool. Then 3, 4, 5. These 3 ages, 3 to 5 years, that means till 6 years, the child has to be in Anganwadi or early learning school or preschool, whatever you call it, or Balavadi, whatever it is. Then after that, at the age of 6, the student should be admitted to first standard. Then first and second, the pre-primary, or you can say the first part of primary. These 5 years combine what is called first 5 years. That is 3 years of preschooling plus 2 years of primary schooling, 5 years. That is compulsory. It has been made compulsory in most of the states. Still not compulsory in Kerala. Because there is a confusion in it. You know that as per the Constitution of India, education is in the concurrent list for school, but in the central list for colleges. There are certain things which concurrent list means the state government and the central government have equal rights. Central list means the government of India has got exclusive rights. So college education in India is in the central list. That is why all the universities in India, as I have told us today, there are 1096 universities in the country. All these universities are in the central list, controlled by UGC exclusive. Inside UGC there are so many bodies, National Council of Teacher Education, All India Council for Technical Education, then Medical Council of India, Bar Council of India. They are all controlling regulatory bodies, but everything is under UGC. That is the national mode. College education is like that even today. But school education, the state has got a say in it. So when the new education policy came, the government of Kerala was saying that we want to continue with the old system. I don't know how long it will stay back. Because the old education system, the student can be admitted to the first standard at the age of 5. So 12th standard he can complete at the age of 17. I still remember I have completed 12th standard at the age of, that was pre-degree at the age of 16. Because in my school education period, I could get admission to the first standard at the age of 4. Next year onwards it was made 5. But now the condition is, you can get into school at the age of 5 in the first standard. So by the time you reach 17, you have completed 12th standard. But as per the new education policy, 18 years is the requirement to join a degree course. So I am in a confusion what will happen when these children pass out 12th standard. The students from Kerala will be completing 17 years, the national standard will be 18 years. So if we are not correcting it now, it will create a mismatch because the universities cannot bow to the state government rules. Universities have to obey the UGC instruction, and UGC is going to be replaced by the Higher Education Commission, and they will have to obey that instruction. So that confusion is still remaining. I hope that the policymakers in Kerala will understand this. Politics will not work in it. It has to be a national system. I hope so. So 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 is going to be the current system. That means 3 classes before first standard, then first standard and second standard 5, then third, fourth, fifth standard, next 3, then 6, 7, 8, next 3, and then the secondary. Secondary education will be 9, 10, 11, 12, 4 years. So 15 years of education up to the age of 18. This is going to be the national standard hereafter. And one more thing is, the right to education is going to change. So far in India, the right to education was up to the age of 14. It is being redefined as 18. Many of the world countries, the right to education changes from 15 to 17. For example, in the US, it is 16. What do you mean by right to education? The government should give the child compulsory education. That is the duty of the government. That was 14 years in India so far. Now it is going to become 18 as per the new education policy. So it's a duty of the government to give free education. Up to free education doesn't mean that private institutions should not be there. Private institutions, like private schools, so many private schools are there. State syllabus, CBSE syllabus, ICSE syllabus. Private education is a choice of the student, but compulsory education is a duty of the government. So government should have government schools with free education up to the age of 18. Right now it is given up to the age of 14. Thereafter, of course, most of the states, the school education is to the states, most of the states give free education up to the age of 15. In Kerala we have got free education up to the age of 17. Got it? Now that will become 18. That is it. This is the age group I have denoted. Age group of 3 to 8, 5 years. 8 to 11, 3 years, which is standard 3, 4 and 5. Then 11 to 14, 6, 7, 8 classes. Then 9, 10, 11, 12 classes up to the age of 18. One thing you can note here, as I have told, most of you would have passed the 12th standard or pre-degree or inter-university, whatever it is, at the age of 17. That is going to be 18. Very few among us, like me, would have passed it at the age of even 16. But I think those after my period couldn't do it. Before my period, there was a system where, before I was in school, there was a system where children could directly join 4th standard or 5th standard by studying up to that at home. But nowadays, that system is not there. Okay. Of course, the social systems do change. As I mentioned, the first part of the course up to 2nd standard we call the foundational level. Then 3rd standard, 5th standard we say the preparatory level. Like now we have got pre-primary, primary, upper primary and high school, higher secondary school. That is being replaced by these terms: foundational, preparatory, then middle classes, classes 6 to 8. 6, 7, 8, and then secondary classes 9 to 12, 9, 10, 11, 12. For school and all, the curriculum etc. will be taken care of by National Council for Education Research and Training, NCERT, and at the state level, every state has got what is called an SCERT, State Council of Education Research and Training. So, what is in a nutshell the target of NEP? Increase the GER of the school education from 82 to 100 by 2035. Remember, it's a 15-year target. 2020 we had the NEP, the target is up to 2035. By 2035, why 2035? The NEP starts in 2020, the first batch will pass out 12th standard in 2035. That is why it is given as 2035. To make the gross enrollment ratio from 82 to 100%. I still feel 100% is only an imagination. There are areas in India where even accessibility is not there. But even if it can be 95, 96, as per the rule I have told, we can make it 100%. That's only possible. So, now we have to see the remaining things which are stipulated in the NEP. So, after the 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 schooling, the candidate has to go further, degree, PG, integrated degree, integrated PG, or a PhD or integrated PhD. Those are all many schemes that will come into the college education. To start with, the foundation for our requirement, we are all college teachers, the students will be coming to college after 12th standard. So, after 12th standards, what is the concern? Then what is going to be the concern? We will discuss separately. This is a quote from Dr. S. Radhakrishnan, in whose name we celebrate the Teachers' Day in India on September 5th. September 5th is commemoration of his birthday, where we celebrate the Teachers' Day. Dr. Radhakrishnan has once told, our secondary education remains the weakest link in our education machinery and needs urgent reform. Even today it is true. Our secondary education is the weakest link and the most troublesome for the students. You just see, in a country, the 12th standard students have to write dozens of examinations for different streams. India is perhaps the only country in the world where the 12th standard students are put into so much trouble. Every institution is having its entrance examination. Every university is having its entrance examination. Suppose you have a son or daughter who have just completed 12th standard, you will know the difficulty. Many days you will have to take leave and accompany them for writing the entrance examination. Why we should need this? It is high time that the government conduct a centralized examination, all subjects included. Let their score be there. Based on that score, any institution can choose them. Why not? I still don't know why the government of India is not taking this into aspect. Like they have combined many of the medical exams into NEET examination. Many of the other exams they have combined into CBSE qualifying examination. But even today, the institutions in India are given freedom to conduct so many exams. You know that if you want to go to a US university, they will ask you for the score of only one examination. That is GRE examination, graduate records exam. That is enough. You don't have to write separate entrance exam for Stanford University, another for Harvard, another for MIT. What would have been the fate? And very few universities insist on TOEFL score. TOEFL is just for your English efficiency or how good you can use English. Other than these two, no foreign university will ask you to write any exam. Even without interview, they will give you admission. Then why India, with the biggest number of institutions, we are having nearly 44,000 plus colleges, 11,000 plus autonomous colleges. All these autonomous colleges have got the freedom to conduct their own entrance exam. In Kerala itself, how many entrance exams are there? It is high time. It is a pitiable condition. It should be stopped. Wherever I could raise this voice, I have told. But I know my voice will not reach up to them. But even in national bodies meeting, I always go on telling this. This is cruel. I have felt it when my children were writing these exams. In my period, such a thing was not there. For example, while studying in the school, I was not aware of IIT entrance examination. So I couldn't get into any national institution. I went for the state allotment was by the marks of the 12th standard. Most of us were like that. But by the time I got into engineering degree, I was knowing that there are institutions called IITs where there is a prestigious to get in, and that is why I went for the PG entrance of IIT. Okay. So that was the condition then. Very rarely, I think only in some metro cities, children used to appear for these competitive examinations. And even only in the year I completed my BTech GATE examination was started. Before that, each IIT was conducting its own entrance exam. So those who wanted in Bombay IIT, they used to write that exam. AIMS also. AIMS only one was there at that time. It used to have a separate exam. So when the institutions are flourishing, that I was talking about a condition where only 6 engineering colleges and 6 medical colleges were in Kerala. Now you see in Kerala, 2096 colleges are there. See the change? At that time, the total number of colleges were only 100 plus. In Kerala right now, I checked the status last week, 2096. Why? Because I wanted to correct my knowledge. Sometime back when I was associated with the University of Calicut, I checked the number of colleges, it was only 1,400 plus. So I was of that impression for the last 3-4 years. But last week I checked the status, it has increased by this much percentage. Of course, the government and aided colleges have not increased much. The government colleges in Kerala all together, engineering, non-engineering, medical, everything together is only 66. And the aided colleges are 169. So combined it comes to around 330 plus. All the remaining 1,700 plus colleges are self-financed. So it's a new generation of colleges. So when the colleges are flourishing like this, the control mechanism should be such that there is a unified examination where the children can write that exam. Single exam is enough after 12th. Based on the score in biology, score in mathematics, the institutions can take. Score in physics, chemistry, or score in commerce, like that. It is possible. Many countries are doing it, then why can't us? It is because we are not at all innovative in education. That is why none of our institutions are in the top 200 institutions in the ABET rating. Only one institution was there in the first 500 in the world. Now 3 are there. See, in a country with almost, how much percentage? Almost 18% of the world population, there is only 0.5% in the top institutions. Tragedy. I don't know when Indians are going to learn this. But whatever claim we say, I still remember the quote from Narayana Murthy, Infosys chairman. I used to tell it many places. Funnily, when addressing a convocation address, Narayana Murthy told the students, I asked my son to write the IIT entrance examination. He couldn't get it. The exam was so tough. So I took for him an admission at MIT. His son studied at MIT. What is the ranking of MIT in the world? At that time, when Narayana Murthy's son took the admission, MIT was number 1 institution in the world. And IIT was number 1 institution in the country. So he couldn't get an admission to number 1 institution in the country. So he took an admission to number 1 institution in the world. That is our admission criteria. But what about the quality? MIT has produced scores and scores of Nobel laureates. Did we produce any Nobel laureate from any IIT in India? We had some Nobel laureates. C.V. Raman, he didn't study in any of these institutions. His nephew was also there. Again Nobel laureate. He also didn't study in any of these institutions. So somewhere we lack. We pose very high. Most of the international corporations in the world are managed by IIT graduates. True. They are good. But our education system is still in a pitiable condition. To be very frank, the level of knowledge of an IIT student, I am also an IIT alumnus. I have seen it directly. The level of knowledge of an IIT graduate is much less than that of a state government college or college like this. Why? Because the teacher comes to the class, they dictate something, they teach something, they tell some book. Other than that, the student need not study anything. They get full marks. If at all you go on studying something else, your marks will go down. Why? You cannot mug up what the teacher has told. But what about a state government institution? In a state government institution, there is a university syllabus. Beyond what is taught in the class, it will be asked. Questions will be from the syllabus, not from what the teacher has taught in the class. This is one degradation that can happen when autonomous institutions are more. But one thing is there, the failure percentage will reduce. At least people will get a degree and go and find some job. We need not kill them. Nowadays we are killing them. How? It's a slow killing. We make them fail and they become useless and they become antisocial. It's a slow process. At least that will not happen. Okay. Now coming to the I quote once more from Swami Vivekananda. Education should be holistic and man-making, life-giving and character-building. Education can unlock all doors for a progress. A nation advances in proportion to education and intelligence spread among masses. I don't know whether we still could achieve the last part of the first statement, character building. Very rare institutions now focus on character building. And that is why most of the antisocial activities in the country have been done by highly educated people. And if you check the suicide rate, it will be the highest in IITs, not state government institutions. So whether the education can have the character building is still a question. Now we are having so many issues right now. One of the issues is that higher education system is in a fragmented ecosystem. In my previous session I was talking about the different types of institutions in the country. All are doing in different ways. No match between them. One difficulty. Second difficulty is that we are having less emphasis on development of cognitive skills, because we are interested in teaching the syllabus, covering the syllabus, and covering their exposure. Covering means sealing off. What is that skill? Development of skill. Especially in engineering education, there is 1/3, supposed to be 30% laboratory sessions. But these laboratory sessions are also conducted like theory classes. We make so many formalities. You by heart this, do this. Laboratory sessions are where you should have a free hand. They should be given chance to explore the machines. Do we give? Many colleges, they cannot even touch the machine. The lab staff will switch on. Then what is their exploration skills? This is one tragedy. The third thing is a rigid separation of disciplines with over specialization. This is a tragedy in India only. In most of the countries, this is not there. NEP is going to overtake that. For example, take my case. In my school days, I wanted to be a literature teacher. This was my desire. I wanted to teach literature. But when I was in the 10th standard, my uncle happened to come to home and say that if you take literature, you will have to wait for years and years to get a job. That is what tempted me to go to engineering. So when I was studying engineering, if some literature courses were available in the college, I would have been definitely a candidate. But I was not taught any literature. Not even English was taught. In that time there was a subject called humanities. One module in that was English. That's only English I could learn in the college. If there was an English course, I would have joined. At least instead of crediting, I could have even audited that. Like national institutions permit you to audit so many courses. Like when I was doing PG, I audited so many courses which were not related to my area. I audited financial management, I audited economics, I audited foreign trade. Why? Out of interest. That facility we are not having in our institutions right now. Very rigid. Civil engineering means you should study only civil engineering. Luckily, nowadays syllabus is slightly modified because there is an instruction from IICT that at least 15 to 20% of the syllabus should be science and humanities purpose. So they introduced a new purpose like disaster management, life skills, professional ethics, Constitution of India. It's good, at least they are having some exposure to it. And remember, once you take a degree, a professional degree, and join a job, within 5 years, you are going to become managers if you are not teachers. These managers should have only basic idea about the stream they study. What they need is more of skills like this, professional skills, life skills, soft skills, which they lack. That is why in most of the countries in the world, professional education has got 1/3 of such courses. They at least permit them to audit that courses. Even passing is not compulsory, but you have to take that course. That is made possible in NEP 2020. Another thing is limited access, particularly in socio-economically disadvantaged area with few higher education institutions that teach in local languages. That is actually, I still don't know how to take care of that situation. You know that in India, in the constitution, we have got scheduled languages. But other than the scheduled languages, how many languages are in India? There are 1636 dialects. Different languages. All are not having alphabets. For example, many people in Kerala talk Konkani language. Konkani is not having a direct alphabet. Why? Even Sanskrit doesn't have an alphabet. Sanskrit we can write in Malayalam alphabet. Normally they write in Devanagari alphabet. Sanskrit in the old days used to be written in Pali alphabet. Nowadays we write in Devanagari or Hindi alphabet. In Kerala, most of the Sanskrit books are available in Malayalam alphabet. See, that's the fate of the oldest language in the world. Sanskrit is the oldest language, not in India, in the world. First ever book written in the world was by Valmiki. Even long before Homer wrote his Iliad, long before that. So that is the fate with many of the languages. So one thing is there, anybody can understand better if things are taught in their language. And many of my students and colleagues have told me that they think in their mother tongue and speak in other tongue if required. For example, while taking a class, you think in Malayalam and take in English. I was thinking how it is done. I asked some people how it is done. They said they are used to it. That can be overtaken, like how I overtook it. I started thinking in English because I was in a Malayalam medium school till 10th standard where I never heard anybody talk in English. Very funny. I have never heard anybody talk in English. So when I went to the college for pre-degree, that college was run by Anglo-Indians. Many of the professors were Britishers. Very difficult to understand their tongue. Most of my classmates were Anglo-Indians whose mother tongue is English. So I did a research how to overcome this. So my English teacher helped me. She only told me this technique. You start thinking in English, then you can speak in English. So many techniques she told. One of the technique is like this. Let me see how many of you think in English and speak in English. Just raise your hands. How many of you think in English and speak in English? Because I have heard many people think in Malayalam and speak in English. Just to show, just to identify for my knowledge. How many of you think in English and speak in English? One. Only one? So we are ready to change. You think in English and speak in English, okay. But the reality is that most of the people think in their mother tongue and speak in English or Hindi. Okay. But even now, I know that when I am speaking Hindi, I am not thinking in Hindi. Because I am not used to it. When I am talking in Hindi, either I think in Malayalam or in English. Then talk in Hindi. Because I have to find the appropriate word. Otherwise it is dangerous. The words can cause you danger. And that is why the new education policy says, teach the students as much in vernacular language. Is it possible? Very difficult. Why? Most of the Indian states don't have technical words translated into their vernacular language. Much is available in Tamil Nadu. Tamil people have got a peculiarity. Anything they will immediately convert to Tamil words. I am so happy with their attitude in that. Any word they get, they find an equivalent word. In addition to that, they will also find words from Tirukural or Bharatiya to substantiate it. Am I right? Good. Other than that, a bit of effort is taken by Marathis, but the influence of Hindi there is diminishing it. I don't think any other state is taking that effort to teach in their mother tongue. So, though we say in Kerala, there was a time when in the 80s and 90s, the Kerala government was trying to produce Malayalam lexicon for every English word. For a short period, I was also associated with that. Very difficult to find equivalent Malayalam words. So what we did was, we borrowed many of the words from Sanskrit and posted it as if it is Malayalam, but they are really Sanskrit, most of these words. So instead of English, it will change over to Sanskrit. What's the advantage? We couldn't produce equivalent Malayalam word. That is why now there is a scheme from IICT. If any of you are willing to write textbooks in engineering or any other technical subjects in your vernacular language, Malayalam or Tamil, they will pay you. It is still open. I have been circulating among our teachers the notifications, but I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen anything of that sort. Okay. That is one of the things in the present system. Then the present system, another thing is inadequate mechanisms for merit-based career management and progression of faculty and institutional leaders. The present system, of course, that is going to change. The present system is the rotten egg getting rotten again. What do you mean by that? Even if, take for example, you are in a private institution. Take the case of a government institution in Kerala. Somebody has joined at the age of, say, 23 or 24 as a teacher. With the same input, they can retire as the director of technical education. Why? Nowhere in between the merit is being checked. Nowadays some paper publications, APA score, etc. are coming. Even then, almost it is possible to retire in the topmost post once you join. So no merit check. You take any foreign university. Once I happened to attend a session by some foreign professors at TTTI Chennai. They were saying that every year they are under stress. You know what is the condition? They are renowned professors. That is why they have been sent from there to India to teach us. They were saying that every year they are under tension. What is the tension? Whether I will be in the same institution next year. Why? There is a review at the end of every year. Review, 3 types of review. Review by the students, review by the peer team, review by the managers. 3 reviews they have to qualify to confirm their job for the next year. So everybody is under, even senior most professors. Even if it is a Nobel laureate, he is under the same condition. What is your contribution the last year is the question. And in India, what is the situation? We have to struggle a lot to even get a paper published by a faculty member. We have to impose punishment clause to make them attend a training program. Am I right? So that system is going to change. That system is going to change means in the NEP, a regular facultyship is going to almost vanish. That is why the state governments have started selecting at top levels. Here, what is the condition? If you work in a college, in a government college, somebody among you will become the principal of the college. Somebody among you will become the director of education in that stream. That is not there in most of the countries. You show your merit and come to the top. That system is going to come. Then another system is lesser emphasis on research. Most of the universities have only teaching. For example, Calicut University has got 400 plus colleges. So 400 colleges, you take the number of students and the number of answer papers coming there. At one time when I was in charge of exams, it was around 80 lakhs papers coming every year. Exactly right now I don't know. 80 lakhs of answer papers coming. It has to be valued and the answers have to be declared. So universities are coming to that level. What is the research going on there? I don't know. Sporadically, 1 or 2 teachers will do some research. As an institution, the university is becoming a degree producing machine. That's all. That is not expected from a university. You take any of the developed country, all the innovations happening there are linked to any university. Maybe we can say that innovation is not happening in India. We are very strong copycats. Everywhere, if somebody comes with a new innovation, we are expert in copying it. At least that we are experts. But sporadically some innovation is happening. Not totally spread out. These are some of our handicaps. So the new NEP says that there has to be different types of universities. Universities for affiliation. Affiliation they want to take away. They want to remove affiliation system. Universities for research. Universities for teaching. It should be separated. We will come to that. And I have got a slide on that also. And suboptimal governance and leadership in higher education institutions. That is another concern. In Kerala, I told that there are around 1,800 self-financed colleges in Kerala, 1,700 plus. Who owns it? Who owns it? Except very few institutions like ours. Ours is owned by a doctor. There are very rare institutions in the state which are owned by educated people. Abkari contractors, cattle sellers, then beverage owners, they are the people who are owning the education institution. So what will be their vision? It's a reality, but they are having money. You and I don't have money to set up a college. I thought of even setting up a college. Then my family was saying that you take care of it, we are not ready to involve in it. What to do? This is really what happens with the educated class. You don't want to take risk. You want to have a comfortable life. And they are ready to take risk, so they set up institutions. In certain states like Tamil Nadu, whoever set up the college, there is a rule. The chairman of the governing body should be an educationist. In Tamil Nadu, that system is there. The chairman of the college, governing body, should be an educationist. So what they do? They set up the college, somebody closely known to them, some professors or some educational experts, they make as a chairman. And again they are controlling it. So this is one tragedy with, and see, these colleges are offering post-graduation and PhD, and that is why some of the colleges and universities are selling these things. Why? The ethics associated with these people. What would be the ethics of a cattle trader? What would be the ethics of an abkari contractor? So they don't hesitate even to sell degrees. That happens. So in NEP, that is why they say it has to be clusterized. Institutions, instead of standing independent, it has to be in a cluster so that such tendencies are reduced. Then, large affiliating universities resulting in low standards. As I told, the universities are becoming degree producing agencies. A university, last time when I went to Osmania University, I was in their guest house for 2 days. I asked them, how many colleges you have got? They said 900 plus. Then I went to JNTU, which is only 4 kilometers away from them, 5 kilometers. So I met the VC and met the registrar, and I was asking them, sir, how many colleges you have got? They were saying, right now we have only 500 plus because one part has been separated, that is having another 200 plus colleges. JNTU has been split into two. Go to Anna University, 700 plus colleges, 800 plus they had, now around 700. So, when so many hundreds of colleges get into a university, the university loses its academics and research. They ultimately focus on making degrees. And affiliating universities have got these low standards. These are all called affiliating universities. In my previous session, I discussed on types of universities. So, all the affiliating universities, that is why we are suggesting there should be unitary universities. You take the number one universities in the world, MIT, Stanford, Arizona, do they have any, or Cambridge, Oxford, do they have any affiliated colleges? No. They are only unitary universities. They are only their things to take care of. That system is what is required. And in the NEP which is coming up now, what are the policies or visions included? First thing is that we should have institutions with multidisciplinary courses. Like instead of this college having engineering alone, instead of that college having pharmacy alone, instead of that college having MBA alone, the institutions should have diverse courses. This is the global system. In any college, you can study anything. You can study arts, you can study crafts, you can study engineering, you can study management. What is the advantage? A student who studies engineering as a major can study dance, can credit a course, can study music, can credit a course. See, every human being has got multifaceted talent. Why do you want to restrict it to something alone? For example, a student studying pharmacy, who told that he knows only pharmacy? He knows life better than pharmacy. So he can take up any course in a language. Now, one of the most needed thing in India is multilingual education. Why? Because most of our students are going abroad. The last 6 months, around 40,000 students have gone from Kerala to European countries. What is the resource they need? Not science or maths. What they need is the foreign language for their survival. But our universities are not providing that. I remember that when I was doing a pre-degree, my college was having a French second language. There was heavy rush in that class. What for? those people who have studied French language, mostly Anglo-Indians, they wanted to go to France. And they studied French an extra language. Moreover, when you study French, your portability in the European countries is much more. Most of the colonies around the world are either French or English. So it gives an extra added advantage. And then moving towards faculty and institutional autonomy. Most of the colleges in the country are understaffed, especially faculty. If you take government institutions alone, in the country, there are 30% deficiency of teachers in the country, in government institutions, including centers of excellence. What about the private? Private, it is difficult to find. Why? Recently I checked with the college. In their records, 86 faculty are there. Actuals are only 27. I am not giving the name of the college. This many private institutions do. They just put the names of faculty who have been working elsewhere, faculty who are not in Kerala, faculty who have worked there for some time and went off, faculty who are in other service. For example, from teaching, people migrate to some other service. So they need not have an ICT ID or university ID. That is why in the private institutions it is difficult to count the number of faculty. But government institutions, you cannot do anything like that. That is why many of the colleges are not going for accreditation. More than 2/3 of the number of colleges in the country are not interested in accreditation. Why? When you go for accreditation, these documents will be checked. So that is the only plus point in accreditation. The staff strength in the institution. But some colleges are much more wise in that. They get faculty on higher basis for accreditation. They bring faculty from elsewhere, keep them. I know some colleges which have done it. That also they do. All the documents they will keep ready, and after the accreditation is over, they send back. That is also there. So what I am saying is autonomy of the institution and autonomy of the faculty. Autonomy of the institution means when the institution can decide themselves, the working conditions will become better. Then a derived effect of that is autonomous institutions can have their own curriculum, can have their own pedagogy techniques, can have their own assessment and evaluation techniques, and they can have their own student support. And when the number of students are more, the support systems will become stronger. That is why the new education policy says institutions should have 3,000 or more students, higher education institutions. If you are not having it, cluster it. I hope you follow it. We are having many colleges having 200, 300, even colleges with 100 students, even less than that are there. And you have to, what is required? You have to cluster it. I will show it. In a slide I will show what is the suggestion given by NEP. If your institution is having less number of students, go for clustering. And institutions which are, take for example the nearby institution, NSS College of Engineering, it is having around, I think that is the only college in Alga district which has got nearly 3,000 students. All other colleges will have to go for clustering. Victoria College at a time used to have 2,000 plus students. Now only 1,000 plus. Because the politically strength was their strongest. Now it is separated. Then another thing which is of very importance to the teachers in colleges is the formation of a national research foundation. Now teachers working in colleges are running from post to pillar to get research funds. No centralized agency. We conducted a training program here on research funding available. More than 30-40 agencies we discussed. That means you don't know exactly where to approach for research funding because there is no unification. So, in the NEP 2020, there is the proposal for a new body called NRF. Like the other bodies like NAC or NBA, there is going to be a new body for NRF. NRF is supposed to give research funding to academic institutions. Now UGC is giving it partly, but very limited. UGC is mainly for giving grants to universities and government institutions. It's not giving much research funding to individuals, but limited it is there. AICD is giving limited, but there is going to be a centralized national body, National Research Board, Research Foundation. So maybe after 1 year, if you want any funding for research, you will have to make only one application. That will be to National Research Foundation. If you get the fund, you can get it. Now DST is there, KCST is there, Marine Board is there, then Defense Board is there, then CSIR is there. So many bodies are there now funding. But teachers are in dilemma to whom to apply, because the norms for each institution is different. Moreover, now most of the research grants go to premier institutions like IIT, IAC, IIM, NITs, etc. Why? Because these funding agencies have now more faith in them. But when we have a funding agency for all the colleges, we will be comfortable. Maybe our colleges can get some more better funding. Another thing envisaged in the NEP is that whoever sets up a college, the college should be fully managed by a board of governance. Even now there are board of governance everywhere. It's a rule. As per ICT rule and UGC rule, there is supposed to be a board of governance. But in the colleges which are self-financed, they are just namesake. They don't have any authority. There are boards, but they don't have any authority. So what NEP envisages is that these boards should have absolute authority, and this board should be controlled by educationists, not by businessmen. Even if the businessman is starting the college, the board of governance or the governing body for the college should be with academicians. That is going to be stipulated hereafter. And of course, the new concept which is being brought to the NEP is light but tight. Light but tight means now it is heavy but loose. What do you mean heavy? Now the curriculum is very heavy. Take for example the number of credits. When the technological university started in Kerala, the number of credits requirement was 200 plus to get a degree. Later they identified that it is very heavy. They reduced to 182. Now it is reduced to 162. I will say still it is heavy. Why? In most of the Western countries, 100 to 120 range credits are required for a degree in engineering. That means our students have to study 1/3 extra. So, is there any surprise in them going away from this state? No, because we are burdening them. In some years back, if you walk through the road, you could have seen small kids, first standard, second standard, walking with a shoulder bag 10 to 20 kilograms, heavy. Why we make so much heavy? The new NEP says that up to 6 years, they should not be forced with any textbook. From 6 to 10 years, with a minimum number of books. From 11 years only, they should be forced with books. In the initial years, they have to hear people, they have to interact with people, and they have to learn what is a human being, not what is beyond the cosmos. Maybe after 11 years you can tell them what is a star or what is a moon. Why should you explain to them in the very tender brain that cosmos is so complicated? There is time for that, but we are using that. And we also feel proud that our child knows this much more. They are a prodigy. Very false. Why? Because you are spoiling their brain. You just check with the society, the children who have been worshipped or praised as child prodigies, when they grow up, they become useless. Why? You are unnecessarily pressurizing that small brain in the guise of getting appreciation from the world. Very wrong thing. So, education system, there is no point in pushing so many things. All the Indian degrees are like that. Unwanted things being dumped down to the candidates. We feel that I have studied this much, so let them also study. But remember, they are studying so many things which you have not studied. Even without you teaching, you ask a student, how much percent of your knowledge is from the classrooms and how much percentage is from elsewhere? All the students will, I have asked this question, all the students will tell that majority of my knowledge is from outside, not from classroom. Then what is our role as teachers? We are jamming so many unwanted things to them. So we are unable to even identify what they need. And we may say that only if they know everything, they can succeed in life. Remember, those who have succeeded in life are not those who know everything. They are the people who know how to use what they know. I always used to tell a story of Ford, Henry Ford. Henry Ford was once the richest man in the world. His descendants were American presidents, and even now Ford company is one of the fortune companies in the world. Once there was a case in the federal court of USA. The case was given by Henry Ford against the New York Times newspaper. What was the case? New York Times published an article saying that Henry Ford is the richest man, but he is an uneducated, ugly man because he doesn't have any knowledge. Ford filed a case Ford was the richest man in the world. Ford filed a case in the federal court, means like the Supreme Court here. And the case came for hearing, and Ford was also asked to appear before the court. So the attorney for New York Times newspaper told he hasn't even passed the fourth standard. He doesn't know advances in science and technology, but he is making cars, which is an advanced tool at that time. At that time, a motor car was supposed to be one of the most advanced things. So what we have told is right. That is what the attorney for the newspaper told. Then the court asked Henry Ford, what is your opinion? Ford said, I appreciate that I am the richest man in the world. But I have got 3 buttons on my table. One button for my personal assistant. If I press that button, he will immediately come in and ask, sir, what do you want, tea or coffee? Or regulating the fan, what do you want, sir? Okay. I give the instruction, he does it. The second button is for my personal secretary. If I press that button, my personal secretary comes and she asks me, sir, which letter you want, sir? Where to send? Or whom to contact? She obeys that. And the third button is for my advisor. He is the highest paid employee in the world. And he knows everything much more than this New York Times people and this Attorney General and even the respected court. And I am paying him. Anything I don't know, I ask him. Then why should I know it? What's the point? It's a reality. It was like that. What Ford told is the truth. So, whoever is successful in life, it doesn't mean that they should know everything. But what is the attitude of our teachers? We will not rest in peace until and unless we bombard all this knowledge upon to them. I feel many times it is pitiable. Let them free. You teach them what is very essential. But many times we forget what is essential. We have got an innate quality by which we believe that whatever has been pushed onto our head should be transferred. Am I right? Anyway, most of us are under that feeling, and that is why I told the rotten system getting still rotten. Attracting them to learn is more important than forcing them to learn. Anybody who learns something by forcing will remove that from the brain the next moment he gets free. But if they are attracted to it, so what is suggested in the new education policies, new learning techniques on par with the global academic institutions. What do you mean by the global academic institutions? Talent is there in the institutions. You all know that we say IIT is very good in academics. How many? I think only 10% of the teachers in IIT are innovative. Remaining 90% are just like so-so teachers. I have seen some teachers who refer the same material they have been using for the last 20 years. In IIT, one advantage is they need take only their specialized topic. They don't have to even diverge. In our colleges, there is a compulsion. You will have to take some other subject. But in a national institution of repute, if one person is teaching one subject, he will be teaching and retiring it over. The same subject, same notes. But one thing they do, slightly different from this. They write their notes very well first time and publish it as a textbook. So that till retirement, I had most of my teachers like that. They come to the class and say, everything I am going to teach is in this book. Their own book. We buy it, matter over. That is the advantage, which some of our teachers also can do it. Whatever you are going to teach, make it a textbook and give the copy in the market, either printed or soft. Students will buy it. Only thing is you become irrelevant then. But who bothers? They come to the class, deliver it and they go away. But the students prepare the textbook and material. No need to give even notes. Why? Their notes is the textbook. So this system is there even in reputed institutions. And what about the other institutions? So what I feel like is talent has to be there. Talent doesn't come by education. Talent is not a product of academic knowledge. Talent is a product of initiative. Some professors are there who have a lot of initiative. I just remember even after serving as the chief of the defense system in India, the chief of DRDO, and after serving as the advisor to the Prime Minister of India, APJ Abdul Kalam came over to Indian Institute of Science. What he did there, he was inventing a new product for the disabled. That is talent. Talent doesn't mean, and obviously APJ Abdul Kalam, what is his academic record? He has studied only up to an engineering degree. That was a 3-year engineering degree from the Madras Institute of Technology. But so many universities have given him PhD out of his casual. Why? He is worth it. So talent is not the outcome. Whether you have an MTech or PhD or an MD or DM, it doesn't matter. Whether you have initiative. That is where the new policy asks to have the nation to involve and see the resources of this nation. Funnily enough, this information came to me. I felt it very ridiculous. Say, the annual budget of Harvard is around 30,000 crores of rupees. And Harvard, you know, much of the fund is coming from alumni. Because the Harvard products are heading the institutions all over the world. It's not government funding. Most of the US universities, no government funding. Harvard, much of the funding is coming from its own alumni. They visit there or they send the money without being asked for. I don't know whether it will happen in India. Even if we have, we may not give. But Harvard is working like that. And the annual, I got only an old data, in 2013, the Harvard annual budget was 30,000 crores of rupees. At that time, all the IITs and IIMs in India together and NITs together had a total budget of 26,210 crores. Much less than a single institution in the world. So we are not having that much resources. That is true. But we have a lot of resource for else, something else. Though not given here. In US, very funny controversy it is. In United States, the annual budget for defense is 17%, 1-7. You know what is the annual budget for education? 1%, government budget. Why? Educational institutions are all autonomous, self-generating. Any university, whether Harvard or Michigan or MIT you take, they are all self-funded. This fund is not from government. Harvard Corpus Fund is not from government. Whereas IITs, IIMs, we are giving funding to perform them. They also make. So, an entirely different concept. Yesterday, I happened to be at a function where one senior engineer from US was addressing. He was saying that in Western countries, the concept of government organizations and private organizations have vanished. He says that now there only one concept is there, whether the organization is effective. And he also added that Google is going to decline soon. So many things were discussed. So maybe a new company will come up taking all those things. Why Google is going to decline? He's working in US in a software. I think he's in a government agency. Exactly the agency I don't remember. So many things are changing like now. This is only one thing. We are still dependent on the government funding for performing. We feel that it's the government's role to give us bread and butter. What happens in India? If there is some issue, immediately the person will come in the media and say, the government should do this, government should do that. What they have done to themselves, I don't know. We create problems and we want the government to solve it. That is our system which is working here. Maybe the NEP should change that. Education in itself should become a self-motivated, self-controlled system. And funnily enough, when I read this point some time back, I was shocked. Out of the 192 countries in the world, this affiliating college system is there in 4 countries only. Can you imagine? Affiliating college means we are affiliated to KTU or affiliated to KUHS or affiliated to Calicut University. This system of affiliation is there only in 4 countries, nearby 4 countries, which were ruled by the Britishers at that time. Even the British have abolished the affiliating system, but we have not. Which are the other countries? Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, very good to emulate. We are on par with them. Out of the 192 countries, all the 188 countries have no such system. They have only unitary universities. University, for example, if you go to any other country, there is a university, maybe Oxford or Harvard or Icahn University. Wherever you go, university has a campus, so many institutions are there, they run it. And they are into academics and research, not into affiliation formalities. But here, the academics is the least concerned. This is an eye-opener for all of us. Maybe we want to escape from this bad intent, saying that we are equated to Bangladesh, Pakistan and Sri Lanka. Doesn't look nice anymore. Am I right? Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Bangladesh, in academics and administration are some of the worst countries. They are all in debt trap. Should we go to such a level? Anyway, we are better than them in GDP, in science and technology, but only in education we are on par with them right now. We have to change. This I have told earlier, our target is to make the gross enrollment ratio in colleges by 50%. This is what is going to happen to our institutions. NEP says that our institutions should be, right now how many institutions are there? As I told the statistics, 44,000 plus colleges, 11,000 plus autonomous institutions, and 1,096 universities. All this combined, it's a huge mess. The government of India wants all this to be in 10 to 12,000 institutions. All autonomous. This is the target. Around 10 to 12,000 institutions, all autonomous, with around 3,000 students per institution. This is the target. So, if there are 200 students, 100 students, club all of them, make a cluster. Those groups which are having more colleges can club themselves to a group and become a cluster. Those which are not there, for example, Palakkad town, there are some colleges having 1000, 200, 300, 500 strength. They make a cluster, Palakkad group of colleges. Or if you go to Thrissur, some colleges make a group. Or also possible, like in Kerala, some powerful educational agencies are there, NSS, SN, Christian missionaries. They can make a group of their own and have minimum 3,000 to 4,000 students in an institution. In a cluster, the cluster can have participant institutions. So that cluster can be autonomous. This is what is envisaged in NAP. Cluster can be autonomous means the cluster can conduct examination. The cluster can be even, now what is now envisaged is not specialized colleges. The cluster should have all the types. Now we have got arts college, engineering college, medical college, paramedical college, law college, like that. No. Cluster says that in, for example, a student who is doing BAMS should credit a paper in law. Because nowadays they will have to face law issues also, legal issues. He should be provided that facility. A student who studies BSc optometry wants to do a course in Kathakali, we should have that facility. What is wrong? That is what is suggested. 3,000 students or plus can be one institution. And then formation of special universities for research purpose. You know that even now there is an institution in Bangalore that is the #1 institution in India. Which is that institution? Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. You see, it is within the 200 world ranking. It's the only institution in the country within the world 2000 ranking. They don't have any undergraduate course there. They have only postgraduate and research course. They don't want to produce BEs or BTechs or BScs there. But integrated MTech, integrated MSc courses are there. For example, students after 12th standard can join and complete the PG. They are only PG courses. So we can say that that's a postgraduate institution. Like in medical science, there are certain institutions. Postgraduate institution of medical science. At Pondicherry there is one. Similar to that. Undergraduate they don't teach. Like that, you should have research-oriented universities. What is the advantage of these universities? Research universities can tie up directly with the industry. In India, now such a facility is being used by only CSIR, Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. They tie up with industry and they produce things, they innovate things which are required for the industry. That can be changed and there can be research universities. So, only thing is there may be strict conditions for research universities. So many PhD holders should be there or so much infrastructure should be there. Simply declaring that I am a research university will not do. But remember, the Nobel Prize in India was produced by a small laboratory. You know that the only Nobel Prize for science in India came to C.V. Raman, and where he worked in Bangalore in a small lab. At that time with the Tata Institute of Science. Tata Institute of Science became the Indian Institute of Science, and after that he made his own laboratory. That is called the Raman Research Center, close to ISC. That is one of the best research center in physics even today. Very small one. So we need not have very big facilities for getting a Nobel Prize. And C.V. Raman has proved it. With a very small laboratory facility, he has brought a Nobel Prize. But that is commitment. His commitment level was different. When we have committed professors, Nobel Prize will come. But we never had any more. We got Dr. Khorana get the Nobel Prize. But he belongs to Pakistan. He's no more now. Okay. Mother Teresa got Nobel Prize not for science. So we don't have anybody. Dr. Chandrasekhar, C.V. Raman's nephew, got Nobel Prize. But he is a British citizen, not Indian right now. I don't know whether he is still keeping the Indian citizenship. So bringing the Nobel Prize needs an extra leap, something more than qualification. Then all the institutions, colleges have to be autonomous degree granting colleges or ACs, autonomous colleges. So within 2-3 years, all of us will be in autonomous groups. Our colleges will be autonomous either singularly or plurally. Singular means we should have 3000 plus students. And in a discussion I was hearing that this 3000 can be compromised to 2000. In a discussion of the UGC, there was such a discussion. Why we insist on 3000? Somebody was suggesting that why can't it be 2000? Whatever it is, whether 2000 or 3000, this can happen. And all the existing higher education institutions will have to join it. Maybe they will insist that at least one institution in the cluster should be NAAC accredited. Because now in India, as I told, only 1/3 of the institutions are accredited, 2/3 are not accredited. So they may insist that at least one institution. That is why we are ready with NAAC accreditation. If at all that comes, we should be having a facility to, otherwise we'll have to go and join with some other institution elsewhere, saying that you are not accredited. That risk is not there right now. And the degree system is also going to change. How? Now we have 3-year degree. You know, in the world over, there are so many educational accords. Accords means the agreement between the countries. Two of the agreements are Washington Accord, which is concerned with engineering degrees, technical degrees, and Tokyo Accord, which is concerned with arts and science institutions. So both by Tokyo Accord and by Washington Accord, 3-year degrees are not globally approved. That means a BA or BSc from India is not recognized as a graduation in the US, not recognized as a graduation in France. They need minimum 4 years. Most of the countries, out of the 192 countries in the world, around 130 plus countries, 3-year degree is not recognized. We should have 4-year degree. But many of those countries, post-graduation is only 1 year. For example, in Germany, engineering post-graduation is only 1 year. In New Zealand, engineering post-graduation is only 1 year. In some of the universities in Australia, engineering post-graduation is 1 year. Even in India, when I did my post-graduation, it was 1.5 years. Now it is 2 years engineering. That is the facility in most of the world countries. Graduation is 4 years, post-graduation is 1 year. So what is suggested here in the NEP is that 3 years degree can change over to 4-year degree. What they suggest is anybody joins for a degree, the courses will be so arranged such that if they stop the degree after 1 year, now take case of a BTech student, he drops the degree after 3 years. What is his qualification? Only 12th standard. He doesn't get any approval for that. Anybody joins BAMS, after 3 years of completing the course, they drop it. What is their qualification? 12th standard. That is going to end. This has been already started implementation already started by some of the universities. After first year, if you are dropping, you will get a diploma. After second year, you are dropping, you will get a post diploma or advanced diploma. After 3 years, you are dropping, you get a basic degree. After 4 years, if you are completing the degree, you will get an honors degree or a professional degree. For example, in arts and science, it may be an honors degree. In engineering, Ayurveda or Ayurveda has got 4.5 years. Most of the medical courses in the country are 4.5 years. Maybe in the long run, that also may be reduced to 4 years. That is what the discussion is going on. Why this half an year extra? But there are certain courses which are having 5-year degree, like architecture is a 5-year degree, not 4.5, neither 4. So similarly, in 4-year degree courses, after first year, a diploma, after second year, another diploma, after third year, an advanced diploma. It's 4-year course. And after 4 years, the degree. This is the pattern specified. So any student who joins BTech, quitting after first year, get a diploma, quitting after second year, get another diploma, quitting after third year, gets an advanced diploma. That will be enough for jobs. It will have skill levels. For example, 12th standard is having a skill level of 4 only. First diploma will bring him a skill level of 5. Post diploma or advanced diploma will bring him a skill level of 6 international. A BTech will bring him to the skill level of 7 or 8. Mostly 7. Some courses 8, like that. This is, so all the courses are going to be grouped like this. That is one advantage. And next is the concept of academic bank of credits. Every student will have a bank account. Which bank account? Academic bank account hereafter. I don't know whether the teachers are aware, the college has already started academic credit bank. It is a rule now. Every college should have an academic bank of credits. With password and all, we are having it. The university will input the marks of every student after crediting. How many papers the student has credited. So every student will get an ID. If any employer wants to check or any other university wants to check that account, they will know how many courses are credited. So it is just like you want to make a curry, you buy the provisions from a provision store, vegetables from a vegetable store, mutton from a meat store, you bring it home. That home is the academic bank of credit. You study at the KTU or study at KUHAS or study at Calicut University, get 2-3 papers credited, and at the end, all your credits will be available in the academic bank of credits. It's a national depository. So it will be available. Even now it is started. That means when you have the required number of credits, including the core requirement for that course, core requirement will be reduced. For example, many of the international institutions, the core courses required are 10 to 20. Remaining are only subsidiary. Subsidiary you will have option to choose. Core courses no option. That you should have. That can be taken from any university. And all your credits will be in the academic bank. And once your credits are sufficient, say for example, a degree from KTU needs 162 credits. A degree from Stanford needs 122 credits. A degree from Osmania may be 132 credits. So when 132 credits are ready, you check with Osmania whether it is compatible to their core courses. Take the degree from there. This is going to be the system. So that is posing a risk why the incompetent universities will be deserted by the students. They can take course from anywhere. Course can be from Michigan University, can be from Stanford University, can be from Harvard University, can be from Coursera, can be from NPTEL, accepted courses, all can be used. So there is no compulsion to go to any college. Anywhere in the country they can study. And even some foreign universities will be accepted. You know, there is a listing of universities in India. It is cut by the Association of Indian Universities, AIU. AIU has a list of all the approved universities in the world. Whenever we have some doubt, when somebody brings a certificate, how do we check it? We check whether that university is approved by the AIU. So all the AIU approved universities you can credit. And it will all accumulate your ABC, Academic Bank of Credits. Once it is sufficient, no time restriction. Now many universities have got a system. 4 years you should complete, 6 years you should complete, 8 years you should complete. Now it is going to be almost like 10 years or 20 years you get the credit. Once your credit is ready, you take a degree. So even if you are working, no restriction. You can take a degree. You credit the courses. This is started implementation. Only thing is when it is going to be quite effective, because all the universities have been instructed by UGC to start the ABC system. KTU started, KUHA started, Calicut University started, all the Kerala, because if that is not started, the UGC grant will stop. So universities have started it. It's compulsory. Only thing is, so far nobody has taken a degree through ABC, but it will start next year. So ABC, if it is completed, all the deemed universities in India, 400 plus deemed universities are, they will be all ready to issue a degree first, because they can collect a fees for it. For example, you have completed the ABC credits for a BTech. VIT will be ready to issue, or Vinayaka Mission University will be ready to issue a degree. You will have to pay them some fees and get their degree, that's all. I don't know whether KTU or KUHAS will issue degrees. They will ultimately within few years. Okay, this is one change. This is a risk. What is the risk? Teachers are going to be irrelevant. I have recently come across a course by one professor. The number of enrollment in that course is more than 20 lakhs. It's a Coursera course. That means one professor's Coursera course You can study and pass, and 20 lakh students all over the world are passing the same subject, same professor. I forgot his name. So what will happen? Maybe thousands of professors in that subject become invalid. Are you understanding what I am saying? Suppose I am teaching a subject, I may feel that I am very good at that subject. But there is a professor in that subject somewhere in the world. He is offering a course in Coursera. Lakhs of students are joining. They appear for the examination, they get the credit, and that credit is put into ABC. Then what is my use? No. This is going to happen. That is why I said only the fittest will survive. The Lamarck's theory and the Darwin's theory are coming true to the academics. Teachers, please beware. If you cannot compete with the rest of the world, you are going to be irrelevant. Every country is adopting this system. And this ABC system is not an Indian invention. All over the world, now this is going to be common. That is why there is heavy rush for online courses. And most of the universities will now offer online courses. Now I told some agencies like Coursera are offering. Now MIT will offer, Stanford will offer. World number 1, number 2 universities are offering, means you join for that or join for this. And see, most of these people are offering the course free. For the examination they are charging. But without examination, you cannot get certificate and credit. So what people do? They join the course. Maybe for the examination, they charge $500 or $200, small. But for them, it's a huge income. 1 lakh people joining at $100 makes $10 million. $10 million into what is the rate today for dollars? Around 90 rupees, 80 plus. Multiply. That is the income for the university. So it will flourish. Teachers have to be aware of this, and after 3-4 years, I really doubt how many colleges can exist. Colleges are not required. If you can credit from a renowned university sitting at your home and get into the ABC, what is the role of the college? Only to issue the degree. That any college will be ready. You need not have a college at Palakkad or a college at Thrissur. Any college anywhere in the country can issue you a degree if your ABC ranking is sufficient. This is an imminent danger. All of us have to be. Then you may ask a question, for practicals, what we will do? That few universities are enough. One college in one district is enough to provide practicals. You can go there, do the practicals and get the credit. Oh, system is going to change. How many of you can imbibe this change? That is very important. How many of you really understand what is going to be the change? Otherwise, either we perform or we perish. That's a choice. Teachers have to really understand this change. And like in most of the countries in the world, liberal arts, creative arts, social sciences, then the science stream will be divided into STEM, science, technology, engineering, maths. These are all going to happen in this coordination of subjects. And this I have told, the 4-year UG course. And NEP targets that 6% of GDP to be spent for education. Now it is small. In India, we are spending less than 3% of the gross domestic product for education. And for research, how much we are spending? Less than 8%. Whereas a country like America spends almost 14 to 18% for research, and 17% for defense. Defense, we are above them. 20+% we are spending for defense in India. But education, we are spending less than 3%. So our country has to come up with almost 6%. That is what is envisaged in the new education policy. There are so many advantages of the new education policy. I think most of them I have discussed. I am not going to discuss much more on this because I have exceeded the time. Next session also I have to do justice to them. There are so many drawbacks also. Drawbacks in the sense, one of the major problems is that competent teachers will flourish, and how to find the competent teacher is going to be an issue of the institution. If an institution has got very high competent teacher, institution will pay them anything. So the parity will be lost. Nowadays in hospitals, an expert doctor may draw 5 to 8 lakhs rupees, whereas an ordinary doctor may be getting less than a lakh. This is going to happen in colleges also. An expert faculty may be drawing 10 to 20 lakhs. Why? Because he has got 10,000 students all over the world. Whereas an ordinary teacher will end up with meager pay, not required by the college. Just for namesake they will get it. This is going to happen. That's why real teachers, great teachers will have great demand in the years to come. And the course MPhil is taught. There is some politics behind it. I am not discussing it. Hereafter, no MPhil course. After master's degree, directly going to PhD. I have given a bird's eye view of NEP. NEP is a big document in hundreds of pages. When you get time, please go through it. Because that is the future of education in India, at least for 20-30 years. Last time when you had to change, 1986. Now after 33 years, 86, 34 years, we had a new NEP. So at least 30-40 years this will remain. So please go through it whenever you get time. Teachers have got a feeling that their job is safe and secure, and your job is going to be more insecure than IT professionals. Most of the IT professionals are now facing what is called benching. I am not going into that. So beware. If you are not, I always repeat this, if you are not updated, you are outdated. I have made it a slogan. If you are not updated, you are outdated. Don't get outdated. Any question you want to ask, you can ask me right now.